I'm fascinated because I deal a lot with software development companies. I deal a lot with high tech companies, and I very rarely see women CEOs, sadly, here in Israel, especially women CEOs of color. And so I love that we're doing this and shining light on this. How was it that you were able to build a business, especially coming from an outsider's perspective?
That's a good question. But sometimes I honestly think being an outsider is an advantage because you're not so caught up in the society norms and expectations of you. I have a saying that I always tell people, like when I meet people who sometimes ask the same question, or rather, there are people who say, Risa, how could you do this? And I'm like, because no one here knows me. I can do whatever I want, and nobody will ever say, oh, that's a girl we went to high school with, or that's a girl who served in the army with, or worse yet, I know her parents. That's Reva's and Oscar's daughter. Is that how she's behaving? Is that what she's doing with her life now? The good thing was, I honestly felt like I had a clean slate living in Israel because really, no one knew me here. I had no cultural or any types of ties or understanding of the country. So nothing I did or everything I did was not like unexpected. It was like, oh, she doesn't know better. So this is why she behaves like this. Or she doesn't know that this is how it should be. So this is okay. So I felt very much in the beginning, I must admit that, you feel a bit closed and you feel a bit trepid because you're like, oh my God. Like I remember the first time I went to a funeral in Israel and I was pregnant. And everybody in the funeral went crazy on me. Why are you here? You're pregnant. Pregnant people don't come to funerals. You're not supposed to be here. And I'm like, who knows these rules, right? Even how to shake men's hand or not to shake men's hand. I didn't know any of these rules, right? So I was basically acting upon that after a while because in the beginning you feel like, yes, people are looking at you and you're so strange and you shouldn't be doing these things. But after a while, I was like, yes, I don't know these things. And yes, I don't know if I need to be doing these things, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then hear the criticisms about it after. So starting my business was a much like that because I was like, I'm going to do this anyway. Yes, when I first began, a lot of doors were closed in my face. People wanted to work with me, but when they saw me, they were like, oh, no, we can't work with a Black woman. What does she know about marketing? How could she help my company? So I did get a lot of rejection in the beginning. And to overcome that rejection, one thing I did was this was after my divorce. So I was dating someone. And I said to him, you know what? How about I make you the face of my business? So this was my trick. I actually took an Israeli guy who I was dating at the time, and I made him the CEO of my business. Now he knew nothing about my business, but the fact that he was the one going to the meetings with me sometimes, or he was the one that were meeting my clients, or he was the one negotiating most times for me, made them feel more comfortable. So I was going into the meetings like if I was accompanying him and I was his employee and he was my boss. But really, it was just a cover story that for me to get my foot in that door. Because Israelis were unfortunately prejudiced in the beginning and they would not work with me just like that. But even in that time, I knew I had to find a way to build my reputation and to stand on my own 2 feet. So yes, I used him as a crutch in the beginning to get started. But once I did get started and once people started getting accustomed to my name and who I was, I used the opportunity to mostly leverage my brand. So what I did, I would host a lot of events. So every month I would host a free event about HubSpot workshops because this is the platform I use for marketing. I would do that free in Google Campus. And of course, I'm the presenter. So no shock there. Everybody's like, all right, a Black woman talking to us in English. Let's see what this is about. Then I started having bigger and bigger conferences like Content Israel and Sales Kennis. Again, a Black woman on stage, everybody gets to know about. So eventually my name and my picture and everything started circulating around companies. So now when they see me, it's no longer a shock. Now I don't have to hide behind that face and say so much, well, I cannot be the front of my business anymore. Although my partner is still very involved in my business because he helps with a lot of the Hebrew and administrative tax things that I don't want to deal with. But the main point is now I can be more forward in my business. So I think the lesson here is that sometimes when you move to a new country or you're in a new situation, you have to be creative in your thinking. You have to use the resources you have around you. And if you want something bad enough, you will find a way to make it work. Don't ever feel that you're not good enough to do something. And more importantly, don't ever let other people tell you what you cannot do. Because sometimes, when those same people who tell you no, they're the same people who will hire you. Like right now, I'm sitting in a client's office, Jason, and 3 years ago, I came to this office for an interview. And 3 years ago, this company said to me, I'm sorry, you're not a good fit for us. You will not get along with our management. And would you believe today, I've been working with this company for 8 months, and their CEO and I are best of friends. They are like loving me in this company. They think I'm doing a great job. But 3 years ago, they did not want to hire me. So you see again those prejudices at play. But now that I own my own business and people know that I am the best in what I do in this market, they now hire me. And I'm shocked because I'm like, they will not work with me before as an employee. And now they have to pay me twice as much to work with me because I'm coming in as a consultant.
That is incredible. I have no words.